So we have Yaroslav here, who is the CTO of Distributed Lab. Hi. This is blockchain hackathon. So what would you say, did the industry from the technology perspective, did it get more stronger right now in the 2020?
I think yes, like industry already have long history, and we have such times when we have a lot of isolated people in general don't understand what is blockchain, what it's about, what to do with it. But I can say yes, in 2020 it is the industry in general is more mature, and it is like very good to see that a lot of people trying to use blockchain, not only because it is hype word, but because they understand why what they will get by using blockchain.
Okay. Is it true that Ukraine is the country of the best engineers, especially blockchain engineers?
I think like it is not about country or not about nationalities. There is good engineers everywhere, and everyone can do blockchain things also quite well. But in general, I should say that sure, the Silicon Valley nowadays is like the maybe best place to start your business and to do some IT things, also the blockchain things, but Ukraine become a good place for blockchain company, mostly because it has a good community. There is a lot of companies that do something using blockchain and distributed systems. There is a lot of experts because of it, and that's why I can say that Ukraine is really a blockchain hub.
Mm-hmm. So Ukraine is basically good in terms of knowledge sharing from the mostly technological perspective, right?
Yeah, sure. That's why you can see such hackathons, such conferences, and so on.
Okay, thanks. So Yaroslav is the CTO of Distributed Lab with their main product TokenDi, and I would like to know what is the fastest and easiest way you can describe what TokenDi is.
In general, it is a platform to build a system that can use user management, balance management, and something like payments. It is a distributed system. This system uses blockchain and cryptography. And our system is generally concentrated on bringing security to the owner of the system and to the final users. That's why we use cryptography, that's why we use blockchain, and that's why the system is distributed in general.
It sounds like a good system to use for blockchain hackathon. Are there many teams that use TokenDi?
Yes, as I remember, there is 3 or 4 teams that use TokenDi, and they build a lot of different projects. As I remember, one of the teams built medical systems that will allow them to digitalize the history of illnesses of the patient. And for example, it gives you an ability you see some person on the street and you see that he's not well, for example, but you don't understand what to do. You can just go to him, scan QR code, and see, for example, that he has some illnesses. And if you are a doctor, you can help him. So it can be really interesting
and
project.
It's a blockchain ledger that stores the history that...
Also the system should be like aggregator of other systems, so a lot of laboratories, a lot of medical institutes will work together to bring all this data.
It sounds like a lot of API integrations are needed.
But in general also I can say that like in philosophy of TokenDi, it is general APIs, standardized APIs, and we are trying to like bring the new vote when you will not think about, oh, I have this system and they don't connect together because they have different APIs. In our vote, all of them will be built on the same, or not on same, but on similar platforms, and doesn't matter will it be TokenDi or something else. They just have similar APIs, similar security standards, and similar way how they work.
So it's not just about having systems which are API driven, but it's more about having systems which are also have standardized APIs so that they can automatically connect to each other, right?
Yeah.
And they all should be based in TokenDi-like technology, is this right?
Yes, I hope that in future we have mostly system with standardized API, because for example, let's talk a bit about banking today. You have a lot of banks, you had a lot of mobile application for banks, but it is not easy to use, for example, application of one bank with another bank, and you can prefer in terms of services, for example, bank A, and in terms of user interface of applications, bank B, and you can use both of them, but you can't do it. When we are talking about standardized APIs, there will be some institutions that will provide client solution, for example, mobile wallets or mobile applications. There will be institutions that will provide services like banks, and there will be institutions, for example, who will be responsible for storing credentials of the user, like private keys in secure way or something like this. So, and all these institutions can work together, and you can.
It sounds like email in financial systems. You can set up your business can launch your own corporate email, and it will be interoperable, right, with other emails. So in the same way, I suppose TokenDi allows to businesses and some banks, right, to launch their own accounting system, which will also be interoperable with the others.
Yeah, sure.
And to develop the technology, is it like open source? Do you allow developers to play with it in a sandbox or something like that?
Part of the system is open source, and we have a GitHub group that call it TokenDi. You can go to this group and you mostly find client libraries, some backend modules, and also you will find a kind of developer edition of TokenDi. It is a Docker Compose based setup of some modules of TokenDi that you can run locally,
and that's something that
works.
Sorry, and that's something that guys on the hackathon use right now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. It will be interesting to see who wins and what are the solutions that they really developed using TokenDi. Yeah. And it's amazing that you have built this kind of API-driven fintech system framework.
Thank you for what you're saying, but in general I should say that we may be only on the start of the big way, and in final it doesn't matter how I say if a TokenDi will be the system that solves all these problems, but we need to find some way to make all the financial operations more easier to use. For example, you just said about good example of emails. When you send a mail, you don't think about what using the recipient of the email, Gmail or some other things. When you talk about banks, you also should think about, okay, I use one bank and my friend uses another bank, and for example, if I want to send money to him to another bank, I should enter additional data. For example, I should pay some additional commissions, some additional fees that depends also on the bank, and it is, I think, should change in the future. Banking should be as easy as using emails.
So basically this future is when you can transfer money to anyone instantly using like some identifier like email or something like that, and you pay almost zero fees, right?
Yeah, you can pay fees. It is mostly in terms of banking things, but you can use emails, phone number, like with PayPal, but through the old system. Like now you can send to the phone number, for example, only inside PayPal. But we are talking about the future when you can just input phone number, say I want to say to this user, and don't even think about the solutions that he used to manage his money.
It's the time where mobile money becomes really mobile and digital, so that money doesn't have weekends or lunches, right, or something
Yeah.
like that, like these problems that we have in the bank. Sounds like a very interesting thing. Okay, thank you, Yaroslav, for your time, and
Thank you, too.
yeah, we'll be interested to see whether the guys who use TokenDi eventually take some place or not, and what would be their solution. Thank you.
Thank you.